At around 12:30, we're told, our reporter Nozintombi Miya is currently on the story for us, and she comes to us live from the convention center. Hey, Nozi.
Well, welcome back. We're here at the Sandton Convention Center, and we're just going to show you a few visuals of what's happening inside the auditorium. The Soweto Gospel Choir is practicing right now along with some of Johnny Clegg's former bandmates, and you'll recall that the memorial service is slated to begin at 12:30 here at the Sandton Convention Center, and it's starting to fill up outside. We're starting to see a lot of fans coming through, and speaking to me are some of the fans that have known Johnny Clegg, or known about Johnny Clegg since the 1960s, and we're going to speak to Joan Thompson, who recalls the first time that she heard about Johnny Clegg. Thank you so much for joining me, Joan. Just tell me, which of Johnny Clegg's songs are your favorite?
My favorite Johnny's song is Water Friday. It was just the way he described it and the way he talked about them at the chicken farm, and how he then said, was a Friday, and how they were looking forward to Friday to be able to go home and have the weekend off.
That's
so it was special.
That's fantastic, Joan. And just remind me, what was the first memory you had the first time you saw Johnny or heard about him?
First time I saw Johnny Clegg was at Wits Great Hall, and he was doing a concert which was sort of undercover, and we were all there and supporting him, and all of a sudden it was dead silence because the police had arrived, so we had to sort of cut the concert, and then they wanted to do arrests and everything like that. But yeah, I then went at a later stage to Sun City for my 40th birthday to go and see Johnny Clegg at Sun City, when he was then not able to perform in South Africa. He was then doing performances elsewhere in neighbouring countries, so it was very special.
And you're a lifelong fan of Johnny Clegg. What message of support would you give to his family?
I just think that you've given so much of your father and your husband to South Africa and to the world, and we send our condolences to you all. I mean, Jessie and Jaron and Jenny, you really have been given so much to the country by giving your father and your husband.
And when we spoke off camera, we spoke about the unifying force that Johnny Clegg was. He really didn't see people in terms of colour or race. He saw people in terms of hearts and spirits and souls.
Definitely. I mean, to go to any of Johnny's concerts, you had people from everywhere. I mean, they were all united to be standing up and doing the dancing with, as soon as his song started, we were up and doing his dances, because we felt he did so much for South Africa, and he brought the unification of South Africa all together.
That's absolutely wonderful, Joan. Thank you so much, Joan. And you, sir, you're also here. You've termed yourself the older generation White Zulu. Why is that?
Umfazi wami i-White Zulu ngikhuluma isiZulu. Ngafundile isiZulu ngundlovu in university lapha.
And what are your thoughts to the Clegg family? What messages would you like to give to the Clegg family?
We here very much to pay our respects to him and his family, and to thank them all for just all the wonderful times we spent, not only when we watch him, but whenever we hear his music. It brings such joy to all of us, and my wife and sister-in-law and my brother-in-law. And my brother-in-law is the chairman of the lodge, which is a retirement village where Johnny Clegg's mother used to live. And Johnny used to come and perform for the old people there often. And that's the sort of man he was. Most wonderful man.
An absolute unifier. And which of his songs is your favorite song?
EMP.
Can you sing us fast a little bit?
Oh, EMP, yeah. I can hear it in my head, but
words escape you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And these are just some of the fans that have expressed their appreciation for the music that Johnny Clegg really dished out to South Africans and graced South Africans and the world with. And with that, we're going to cross to a package now that talks about the life and times of Johnny Clegg.
Johnny Clegg, one of the country's most celebrated artistic sons, singer, songwriter, dancer, and anthropologist. In nearly 40 years of making music, he sold over 5 million albums worldwide. Jonathan Clegg was born in England in 1953 to English father and Zimbabwean mother. His mother returned home with her young son, where she remarried a South African journalist and immigrated to South Africa. By the age of 11, Johnny was familiar with township's life, introduced to him by his parents. It is here where Clegg heard and fell in love with traditional Zulu music. Sometime in the 1970s, the 17-year-old met and began performing with Sipho Mchunu, who had become a close friend and fellow songwriter. Soon after, they formed Juluka. Initially, the infectious crossover music blending vibrant African Zulu rhythms and Western pop received little radio airplay due to apartheid censors. Also, the racially mixed duo leading a multicultural band conflicted with the group era's act enforcement of racial and cultural separation. Juluka split up in 1985, resulting in Mchunu returning home to Zululand to farm cattle, while Clegg formed another band, Savuka. Savuka ended in 1993, leading to Clegg's soloist performing and recording era that lasted till his death. In 2015, Clegg was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Soon after, the Asimbonanga hitmaker embarked on a final set of concerts to thank his fans for their support over the years. The world tour, appropriately titled The Final Journey. Clegg won a number of national and international awards for his music and his anti-discriminatory reviews, including the Order of Ikamanga, South Africa's highest honor bestowed on an individual. He also received similar recognition from Italy and France. In addition to several honorary doctorates, Clegg received a few South African Music Awards, a Cora and a Grammy for World Music and Billboard Award. On the afternoon of Tuesday, 16 July 2019, the 66-year-old succumbed to pancreatic cancer at his Johannesburg home. He is survived by Jenny, his wife of 31 years, and their 2 sons, JC and Jeron. Numpumlelo Mthethwa for SABC News.
Working relationship with him. Welcome back. We have one of Johnny Clegg's fellow musician and partner, Sis Jessica Mbangeni. Thank you so much for joining me. This must be such a bittersweet moment for you at this particular memorial service. Just tell us a little bit about some of the thoughts going through your mind right now.
Johnny Clegg, a global icon, a humanitarian who had great sense of a spirit of unity. His spirit has been incarnating through me whole week. He has been talking to me. I remember the times we were traveling France. It was my first time to interact with him on global platforms. And coming from South Africa, from an apartheid era, I was very inspired by the great sense of humanity, Ubuntu, the jokes that he would crack ngesiZulu. And I found out that I had an assignment to come home. The profound conversations that we had made me to leave the Soweto Gospel Choir in 2005 after traveling the whole world, to come home and find peace and find my purpose. Today, I am so pleased that through Johnny Clegg, I am the agent of change. I am the center of humanity. I am a global peace ambassador. So Johnny Clegg has inspired my life so much that I am living the purpose to change the world.
Today you're going to pay tribute to him. You look absolutely beautiful in your regalia, and you must be absolutely excited to perform a tribute to him. What will you be performing, and who will you be performing with?
We'll be performing The Crossing with the musicians, the Soweto Gospel Choir and South African musicians, and I will burst into poetry that I have prepared for him, because kwaphela waxhoba wafohlela ngezikrweqe zobulungisa nenyaniso, bridging the gaps of racial segregation in South Africa. Yiyo ke le nto namhlanje sitshila sitshotsha singqongqa singqumshela sixhentsa sizombelela sithi halala Johnny Clegg, halala umzamo uzamile kwedini ugqatso ulufezile. Your spirit lives on.
Thank you, Sister Jessica. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And you also, hi, how are you? She looks absolutely beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
Stunning, yes.
You are a long-term friend of Johnny Clegg for 35 years.
35 years.
Just,
and we were both
just
born
tell us
in
that.
the same year, 1953. One other person, Mandisa, who's in the band. Johnny calls her his sister, and she's also born in 53, so we're all 66 and devastated obviously by his loss, and hopefully today here to celebrate his life and to remember him.
And you guys work quite closely with Johnny.
Yes,
What
yes.
was he like in the early years?
In the early years, he was quite rough, but he always had a purpose. He always had direction, and even in his later, more mature years, he never deviated from that path. His entire life was a journey, and then it was the final journey, and now it's the legacy.
And when did you find out that he was not well? We understand that he had been diagnosed with
so
pancreatic cancer about
Just
5 years ago.
Little more than 4 years ago, and during the days of the illness, he often believed that he could beat it. His doctors, his oncologists thought that there were such strides and advances in medicine that even during his lifetime, if he could just hang in there, he might beat it. But sadly, that was not to be the case.
And what are your fondest memories of Johnny, yourself, personally?
Wow, so many. But I think we used to meet regularly once a week, and sometimes over a breakfast, and we'd solve the problems of the world together. John, he was a philosophical, and he had an approach to solving the world's problems and South Africa's, a country he loved dearly.
And today, the final tribute, really, a private funeral held about 2 weeks ago, and you're going to be meeting up with some of your former colleagues, your former friends.
Yes,
How do you feel about that?
Very mixed emotions, tinged with sadness, but also very happy to be together and to seeing everyone again.
And when you were playing in the band with Johnny, what role did you play?
So I was part of management and on the financial side. So I promoted him on 3 tours to Australia and New Zealand. So that was primarily my role. It was always behind the scenes.
You were the money man.
The money man, indeed.
Thank you very much. There we are. We're hearing some more stories and anecdotes from some of Johnny Clegg's friends who've come to support him here at the memorial service at the Sandton Convention Centre. And we will be giving you rolling coverage of the memorial as it takes place. The Soweto Gospel Choir is inside the auditorium. They're preparing, along with other band members. They're just making sure that their acoustic and the music is ready for them to wow the crowd that's going to come here to pay their final respects to Johnny Clegg, who passed away at the age of 66 to pancreatic cancer. With that, it's back to you in the studio.
I remember his manager, Roddy Quinn, once said that he showed us, how to assimilate and to embrace other cultures without losing his own identity. So that was remarkable indeed. A consummate performer. He's I guess, regarded as the quintessential artist, and he was a talent of epic proportions. Johnny Clegg there, his memorial service being held at the Sandton Convention Centre.